Hello and welcome back to what is now the fourth episode of the Fussball and Calcio edition of a Clear and Obvious podcast. And in a week that saw a top-of-the-table tussle in Serie A.
And a week that saw VAR steal the show in Hoffenheim versus Wolfsburg.
This is a Clear and Obvious podcast. Indeed it is, and what a week we've had in both the Bundesliga and the Serie A. They've been some big games across the board, I'd say, wouldn't you say, Sam? Been a pretty big week.
Especially in the Bundesliga, lots of 5-goal thrillers.
There's multiple 5-goal thrillers. It sounds like an absolute, thriller. Shall we crack on then with a bit of Calcio, a bit of Serie A?
Yeah, let's get straight into it.
Sure. So, as per, we'll kick things off with the three of the best segment of the podcast. We both earmark it's not 3 episodes. We don't earmark 3 episodes. We earmark 3 games in each of the leagues, and we hone in on them and give our detailed analysis.
We do.
We do indeed. I'm going to kick things off with the Lazio Inter game. That was probably the biggest game held in the capital, this one at Stadio Olimpico. It was a huge game at the top of the table, Inter going into it top on goal difference and Lazio going in third, and boy how things have changed since. So yeah, this game really, Inter started off the brighter of the two sides, it must be said. An early Lukaku chance was evident of this. It was turned away by Scudetto at his near post. The ball was sort of put through to him by Brozovic on a quick, typical Inter counter-attack that they've shown so many times over the season. Putting it through to Lukaku, but Scudetto was able to turn it away. He was not really able to guide it into that far post. It sort of ran across his body too far. But yeah, the Nerazzurri finally broke through on the brink of half-time after an Antonio Candreva long-range effort. It could only be parried by the Albanian keeper, which found Ashley Young to strike home his first Inter goal. A controlled effort that bounced into the top corner. And it was a really good goal, to be fair. It was a sort of Candreva's saucy little shot came in, swerving at the keeper. He couldn't really do an awful lot with it, could only parry it. And Young put in his first goal in an Inter shirt. And he looked bright all game, really, Ashley Young. He's looked fairly good since he joined them.
Potential England call-up?
I tell you what, right? As our depth at left back is so terrible, because that's what he's been playing left wing back under Conte so far. So I reckon he could easily transition into a left back if need be for England. And I tell you what, right? As a backup to Ben Chilwell, I wouldn't necessarily start him because he's like 35. But as a backup to Ben Chilwell, I would not oppose to that because there's no obvious backup because I'm not a fan of Brandon Williams and Saka's not quite ready yet. So other than that, I don't really see many options.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see him getting in the England squad if he carries on this form this summer. He deserves to.
Oh, completely.
And there's definitely Italy, it seems, as Italy and Germany is the place to go if you're an England player and looking for a call-up, it seems.
That's it, get a one-way flight out there and make your career. That's why we focus on these 2 leagues.
Or finish it there.
Or finish it, yeah. But yeah, no, this put the visitors 1-0 up. Ashley Young's goal, of course. But after this, Lazio came out of the half, and they looked like they had a point to prove. Simone Inzaghi clearly got into them at half-time. He's a quality coach, I must say. But they dominated the early second half proceedings, and their pressure was rewarded when ex-Lazio defender who was getting dogs abuse all game, Stefan de Vrij, brought down Immobile after, and what I've written down here is just 2 asterisks and sigh, another Pedelli error in a mix-up with Skriniar. He's a third-choice keeper, so I can't necessarily hammer him too much.
He's class. He's absolutely phenomenal.
If he's class, he's like 4th set. He's terrible, honestly.
That's a terrible joke.
I really don't rate him. No, he wasn't great this game. He showed no confidence. He made one really good save against Immobile, but in this one he got tackled up.
Where's Bernie or Benny or whatever his name is?
Well, the funny thing is, right, in this game, Inter had 3 goalkeepers on the bench. They had Handanovic on the bench, who's clearly not fit enough, but it's just basically in case Pedelli gets injured. They've got Bernie on the bench, the guy that got sent off when he would have had his call-up off the bench. And then they had this 17-year-old keeper, I want to say Tomanovic. I can't remember his name exactly. But they had 3 goalkeepers on the bench. And yeah, Pedelli, he came out for this one, got tangled up with Skriniar. It was a chip-through ball from Milinkovic-Savic, who ran the game, but we'll go on to him later. And yeah, penalty was given because de Vrij came back. I wouldn't necessarily say it's de Vrij's fault. He had to make a desperate tackle, otherwise it was getting put in by Immobile. It's just unfortunate it was him, really. And as I say, he was receiving absolute dog's abuse the entire game. I mean, naturally so. But yeah, no, that an Immobile penalty, I believe it's his 10th penalty of the season. He's now got 26 goals. That brought the Biancolesti level. Bianco-Celesti level. My Italian coming into play.
That is poor.
I know. I'm sorry. I apologise. But yeah, no, really, they deserved to at least level it after coming out the second half. And then after a huge scramble in the box, which was sort of typical of how the second half went, a blocked shot on the line by Brozovic. It was all sort of pinging around the box. Falls back out to the man who looked incredible all game, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, who slotted it home with his left foot past Padelli. It was a composed midfielder. He controlled the game. He ran rings around Barella and Brozovic all game. He ran the game really. At risk of repeating myself, he was brilliant, and he deserved his goal. To be fair, sort of came out to him a very controlled finish on his weaker left foot. He had a shot earlier in the game actually. I think you saw it. It was sort of 25 yards out, dipping, and it was a beauty of a strike.
It's very lucky. If that got in, we'd have been talking about it for years.
We would have done a special edition podcast on it because
we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't have. But we can dream.
Slightly over the top.
Maybe minimally over the top. But no, he did really well. He played really well. The likelihood is he's leaving in summer, which is a shame. Lazio fans have been really they've kind of been on his back a lot of the season. And then now he's starting to play a little bit better. They're all behind him. A good young midfielder. Physically, he's huge, but I'll go on to talk about him a little bit more later, as you'll see why. But yeah, it finished 2-1 to Lazio, despite another Immobile chance. It was sort of the ball was put into him by Luis Alberto. His one touch somehow managed to split both Skriniar and De Vrij. Not great defending from them, but the touch was sublime. Goes through, but to be fair, Padelli makes himself big and turns it around the post. And then right at the end, right at the death, Lukaku has a chance put through to him by Eriksson, who came on. Looked actually fairly good for the few minutes that he did come on for. But it was blocked by Acerbi, who I must say was sensational all game. And Lazio, deservedly winning 2-1. They now sit second, just a point off Juve and 2 points ahead of Inter, who, as I said last week, whoever loses this game could well go on a bad run of form. And unfortunately, Inter lost it. So, my prediction, I've got to stick by my guns. I can see them dipping out of the title race, unfortunately. And if I'm Inter, I don't necessarily put all my eggs in the Europa League basket, but I start to divvy them out a little bit more if I'm an egg master,
Brilliant. Yeah, no, Inter are... I don't know, they've brought in quite good squad depth.
That's what they needed.
Yeah, but it's a bit... They needed it at the start of the season, really. They needed to... with Conte, he was start season so well. And they needed that depth early on so they could possibly build up maybe a lead on Lazio and Juventus. Because now they've caught up and are pretty much overtaken.
Yeah.
And it's just got to a point where it's a transfer window too late for Inter.
Completely, yeah. I'd also agree with the fact that easing them in is not going to be easy. And while the new signings aren't necessarily the problem, the issue, I'd say, and this isn't me just being a moany semi-Inter fan, is that Handanovic has got injured. He gives that defence. He's been there for 8 years now, and he's just given them so much confidence over the years he's been there. He's probably one of the most underrated keepers in Europe, and when you miss him, you really miss him.
I think the real problem is the fact that Bernie got injured.
Yeah, Bernie. What can we say about that man?
Bernie!
Not an awful lot. We can't say an awful lot about Bernie.
Where's my Bernie?
Please stop referencing Doctor Who. This isn't a Doctor Who podcast. Grow up. Yeah, no, Bernie. He's never played for Inter, so we don't know how good he would be.
I reckon he must be amazing. I've no idea why he still plays for the club, really.
I just can't go with the fact that you should reference Doctor Who on a current of his podcast.
It's absolutely incredible content.
To all those listening who don't watch Doctor Who, because no one watches it anymore, that was a reference to it. I don't know what the reference is, and I don't want Sam to explain it, because I think we're going to move on to the Atalanta Roma game.
Move it on.
Quickly moving on from that top of the table tussle to a Champions League place-based tussle. I know. It was Atalanta Roma in Bergamo. It was a 2-1 Atalanta win, and it was a deserved one at that. Despite the early Atalanta dominance, they started off really well, controlling possession, fairly uncharacteristic of Gasperini's teams, who like to counter-attack in that Leicester City mould, as we've said before on the podcast. Roma did take the lead early on, however. It was a defensive error by Palomino. It was capitalised upon by Edin Dzeko, who slid it past the helpless Galini in the Atalanta goal.
Great finish.
Really good finish, yeah, but it was set up by Palomino, really. I think the ball back to him was by Hans Hatterboer, I want to say. But it was a poor ball back to him, but he could have still done better with it. A terrible touch, sort of falls backwards as he takes a touch. Dzeko eases past him, and the rest was inevitable because he's Edin Dzeko. But then, just 5 minutes into the second half, Palomino went from 0 to hero, converting a flick from Rafael Toloi at the corner, which brought the hosts back level. Rightfully so, they deserve to be back in this game for quite some time. And the second half, again, similarly to the Lazio Inter game, they came out with a fire in their bellies and they started it really well. Then Atalanta continued to dominate the game. It was 2 goals in 9 minutes for them, and a goal seemed inevitable when Mario Pasalic produced a moment of pure quality. It was Papu Gomez who pounced on a poor throw in from Roma. Freuler played the ball in to Pasalic, who, with effectively his first touch, opened his body up and stroked the ball into the top far right corner. And it was a really good goal from a man who they've only just officially signed from Chelsea. I don't know why Chelsea got rid of him.
That was one hell of a substitution, wasn't it?
It really was. Tactical genius by Gasperini. He comes straight on, and yeah, as I say, two goals in 9 minutes for the Bergamaschi. But they deserved it, to be honest, and it was enough for them to see out the game, and a deserved win for them. I've got a little bit of a what's the word?
A bone to pick.
Bone to pick. That's the phrase I'm after. With Francesca, the Roma manager, or anyone really that comes up against Atalanta and plays one striker, and anyone that comes up against a 3 at the back and plays one striker, particularly if they're not particularly quick, because if you've got 3 central defenders and 1 striker, naturally they're going to be outnumbered. But you can counter that by having a couple of players in behind who can help them and play off of them. But the issue that Roma had, while Dzeko did score, the only reason he scored was because Palomino made that error. They were not scoring the rest of that game. They had very little opportunity. And Dzeko, the entire game, was completely isolated. Toloi, Palomino, and the other centre-half. Had
knowledge.
No, absolute knowledge, yeah. No, they really... They didn't have too much trouble dealing with him, again, aside from that initial error. And I think it's, I've written down here, tactical suicide. To do that, to be honest with you. I think if you play one striker with very little support to that main striker, you're completely limiting any supply line going forwards. And yeah, they really didn't help themselves, Roma. But they're not on a great run. They haven't won in over a month. Hopefully they can bounce back, because I do want to see a little bit of a tussle for that last Champions League spot. I don't want to see Roma settle for the Europa League as such. Not that they would, but I don't want to necessarily see that happening. And they're seeing their neighbours go for the title. It's not a great look on a historical club by Roma, like Roma. But yeah, Atalanta won this game 2-1. They cement their positions in that Champions League spot, and they deserve this win.
Would you say? Here's a quick debate. Would you say that Edin Dzeko is going to go down as one of Roma's greatest players?
Oh, well, I don't think he's... So with Roma, you've just got Totti. Like, historically, he's idolised, and he's on a pedestal so far above any other Roma legend that I'd say... I don't... He won't reach the Totti level, but I could see him, just because of the amount of goals he's scored over this period of time, I could genuinely see him going down as a bit of more of a cult legend than necessarily a Totti type. Where
he's like either the 7th or the 6th top scorer in Roma's history.
His goal scoring record's incredible for them, and I think he'd go down as a legend. I think more of a cult legend, not in the same way that Totti was, as I say, but I reckon he could go down as a bit of a Roma hero. But they haven't really materialised an awful lot from his time at the club. They had that one Champions League run a few years ago, but aside from that, they've not really won anything major since he's been at the club, which is the only issue. I reckon if he was to have one unbelievable season where he scored 35, 40 goals and led them to a Scudetto, run in the Coppa Italia and a Champions League decent run, then I could genuinely see him being that secondary legend to Totti, because no one will touch Totti because he's like God in Rome. He's better than the Pope.
Isn't Manolis the Greek god in Rome?
He is the Greek god in Rome. Rome has risen from its ruins. Yeah,
Peter Drury, commentary,
the greatest piece of commentary ever.
Sky Sports, you have missed a trick not getting him on commentary.
Honestly, a bit of a tangent, but yeah, Peter Drury's incredible. He is, yeah, he's brilliant. But yeah, no, as I say, Atalanta won this game. Papu Gomez ran the game. He was brilliant. That's pretty much all there is to say on it, really.
I'll tell you who else was brilliant. Fiorentina, as they beat Sampdoria 5-1. Archie.
Yeah, to echo quite literally what Sam said, Fiorentina won 5-1 away at Samp. This
game was bonkers.
Can you stop reading from what I've written down, please? Yes, this game was bonkers. It was mental. Thank you, Sam. Fiorentina went into the lead early thanks to a Morten Torsby own goal after a teasing Dusan Vlahovic cross. The provider then turned scorer 10 minutes later as Vlahovic's powerful penalty couldn't be stopped by Aldero, putting the visitors 2 ahead fairly early on. Sampdoria's misery was compiled when Nicola Muru received a second yellow card and conceded yet another penalty for elbowing the captain German Petzela in the face, going up for a header in the box. VAR correctly awarded Fiorentina the penalty. This one was put away by their star player Federico Chiesa. So that's 3-0. Federico Chiesa, very good player.
Never heard of him.
Brilliant. Amazing player. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic sometimes.
I'm being very sarcastic.
Oh, right, okay, because some people out there will not know who Federico Chiesa is.
Oh. Well, he's one of the hottest prospects in Europe.
Not Fiorentina's hottest prospect, I'd like to add. He's not their best player.
I mean, he is if you weren't biased.
No, if I wasn't biased in yeah. No.
He has a higher ceiling than Castrovilli.
No. Yeah, he does. He does. Sorry, Gaetano, if you're listening, please. No, it's all good. Chiesa's probably their star player. But yeah, no, this was that put Fiorentina 3 up. But just before the halfway point, there was a minor blemish on Fiorentina's play as Milan Badel received his marching orders for a second yellow. And then the second half continued in a similar vein after being 3-0 at half, with Vlahovic doubling his tally from a rebounded shot to make it 4, and Samp just looked completely despondent at this point. I mean, they didn't look great coming out of the gates either way, but they just weren't very good. Ranieri's got some questions to answer because they look poor. Then a slipped effort from about 25 yards from Federico Chiesa, as the aforementioned, into the top left-hand corner in the 78th minute, further condemned Sampdoria to more misery. And despite a late consolation from Southampton legend Manolo Gabbiadini,
Southampton legend, Southampton one season wonder.
That run to the Capital One Cup final, though, we can't even lie.
Move on.
Gabbiadini carried them, yeah. An emphatic 5-1 away win for La Viola. Deserved, to be honest with you. Samp, as I said, looked despondent. No one really played particularly well for them. Quagliarella was getting 0 service. They had a few chances, but none were really falling to him. He had one decent opportunity, but it was more of a sight than a clear.
Wasn't that way he volleyed over?
Yeah, that was. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a clear-cut chance. There were a couple of defenders between him and the goal.
Nowhere near a clear-cut chance.
No, it wasn't. Gaston Ramirez didn't look great all game. He actually gave away the penalty from a Gaetano Castrovilli chip-through ball. But yeah, he's not been amazing. But no, Sampdoria didn't really look good. But let's look at Fiorentina for a minute. Iachini's come in and he's turned this club around. He has steered them away from the relegation battle, steered them away from any potential lingering doubt about them going down. And he's pushing them towards potentially. I wouldn't completely rule them out of top half finish. I'll go through it later once I'm going through the table.
I thought you were about to say I wouldn't rule them out of Europe, and I was about to say, Archie, mate, you need to calm down.
Archie, I would rule them out of Europe. Yeah. I wouldn't rule out some of their players from being in Europe next year.
Oh yeah, no.
Chiesa, Castrovilli,
Frank
Vlahovic.
Ribery.
Ribery is still there. Unfortunately, he's still injured, which is really sad because he started off for them on fire. Honestly, it was genuinely like watching Ribery of old. He tore apart Juventus in a 0-0 draw. But yeah, he was
in a 0-0 draw.
I realised that as I said it. I realised I can't be claiming someone's torn someone apart in a 0-0 draw. But yeah, no, he was great. It's just a shame he's injured. They could do with him coming back. But yeah, no, Iachini's come in. He's turned his team around. He's got Milenkovic playing really well at the back with German Petzela. This whole team looks really good. Eric Pulgar's starting to play well as that sort of anchor in midfield. Vlahovic is coming into some sort of run of form at the minute when they need that clear goal scorer. Cutrone didn't really get a chance this game, but this was a game for Vlahovic. Physically, he was dominant, scored quite a few goals, well, 2 in fact. And yeah, he's a two.
Loads.
He was born in 2000. Was Vlahovic? He's a young Springer Spaniel. I can't call him a Springer Spaniel.
Oh my goodness,
yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. I wasn't actually comparing him to a dog, to be honest with you. He's just a good striker.
He's dogged in his attacking style.
That was exactly what I meant. Thank you for bailing me out of that, Sam. Should we move on to some Bundesliga? Some Bundesliga results. The three of the best in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, sure. Let's start with Hoffenheim-Wolfsburg. A thrilling affair this weekend. In a 3-2 Wolfsburg was the final score, where VAR, as I said in the intro, played a huge part. It really did. It started off Weghorst got the first goal of the game, dispatching a penalty, which is given away for handball. I mean, that was after VAR, of course, had a look at it. But it was just, this game was absolutely VAR packed. I mean, they kept going to VAR, but at least in the Bundesliga they know how to use it, unlike in the Premier League. But yeah, Weghorst put Wolfsburg in front, which is quite a surprise with both sides looking for Europe, but I'd say Hoffenheim the more likely. Then Wolfsburg doubled their lead. Mehmedi scored, but VAR disallowed the goal for offside.
So they didn't double their lead. If the goal was disallowed for offside, then
okay,
they didn't double their lead.
Mehmedi thought he doubled their lead, but unfortunately it was ruled out for offside. Thank you, Archie.
You're welcome.
Hoffenheim got a goal back to make it 1-0. Baumgartner header after Kramaric cross. Kramaric was quite good, clearly a very key player for Hoffenheim. Weghorst scored another penalty.
He's never missed a penalty in the Bundesliga.
No, his penalty record's a joke, and he only really scores penalties, or does he, as we'll come on to later. But he scored a penalty after VAR review. At first look at the challenge, it looks like not a bad challenge, and I could understand why the ref has given it. So Mbabu comes into the box, and it looked like he's had a shot and it's been blocked and he's gone down. But what actually happened is Mbabu cut back, and the players completely taken him out. So that was definitely a penalty. And yeah, Weghorst made it 2-1 to Wolfsburg. But then another penalty, the third penalty of the game. VAR gave a penalty for handball following review by Weghorst, the guy who scored the first two penalties. It was a weird game, which Kramaric dispatched. A very assured penalty, but then I'm delighted to tell you not a penalty. Wolfsburg won the game late on with a Weghorst, and it was a exquisite finish. Got played through 1-on-1, chips it over the keeper, who now securing his hat trick, and that is now club record for the amount of hat tricks in the Bundesliga for Wolfsburg. He's got 3. And yeah, Wolfsburg actually played very well. Hoffenheim weren't great. I mean, it was a very unlucky game for Hoffenheim in the fact that the amount of penalties that went against them. I mean, all of them are penalties, but it's just unlucky managerially, or in a managerial sense. He couldn't really have done much more.
Sure. For those fans of English football out there, and for those who don't know who Wout Weghorst is, can you just explain to Premier League fans around the world? Andrej Kramaric, obviously we know him as the guy that Leicester signed for their initial record signing and flopped. And Wout Weghorst, and not a lot of English football fans are going to be aware of. Just tell us a little bit more about those two, because they're both top-tier strikers in the Bundesliga, but they're not necessarily names that jump off the page at English fans, which is our listenership. If you just want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, he's a Dutch striker, quite a big lad. Yeah, he's been playing for Wolfsburg for a few years now. He scores a lot of goals, but unfortunately, most of them are penalties. I mean, I say unfortunately, it's good to have a player of that caliber. But now he's a Dutch player. He played a lot in the Dutch league. Did well there. Got moved to Wolfsburg, and yeah, he's been really good for them this season. He's one of the top scorers in the league, and he got his. For a player who hadn't actually got a goal in 2020, to score 3 is quite mental. Yeah.
Anything on Andrej Kramaric? Just because all I know him as is someone that doesn't watch an awful lot of Bundesliga. All I know him as is the guy that flopped at Leicester.
I mean, say flopped is harsh.
He wasn't amazing, was he?
No, he wasn't good.
He was terrible.
No, he played for Hoffenheim before Leicester. Did very well. Got his move to Leicester, of course. So he's come back and he's reinstated himself as a very important player for the club. I think he's their top scorer in the Bundesliga. Hoffenheim's top scorer in the Bundesliga ever. I'm pretty sure. He's been very good for Hoffenheim, and he's very crucial in anything they do going forward.
Yep. No, but there you go. That's a fairly sound roundup of them. Do you want to go on to your next game then?
Yeah, next game is Union Berlin against Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen getting the second away win that I'm going to talk about, 3-2. And it was a game, I guess, highlighted for its late action, really. Union Berlin, maybe surprisingly, went in front when Gentner, the ball fell to him after a poor clearance and smashes it into the roof of the net for the edge of the box. I mean, it's his first goal of the season. I mean, it's incredible what a great goal it is for his first goal of the season. I mean, you saw it. It was
amazing.
It's one hell of a strike, isn't it?
Way to open your account. Yeah, that's amazing.
That was just an amazing goal. But then a different type of goal to equalise. Kai Havertz got played over the top, and it looked like Subotic was going to deal with it, but then Havertz got his foot there just in front and chipped over the keeper from the edge of the box. It was a brilliant ball from Jonathan Tah, and it was an exquisite finish. And then not much really happened. And then it was the late show that got the
late show,
exactly, that got the had all the drama. I mean, Bellarabi came on in the second half and he was the hero in the end. But in the 83rd minute, Leverkusen went back in front. DRB got played over the top, and he passed past the keeper 1-on-1.
Good finish.
Really good finish. And honestly, I thought Leverkusen were going to hang on from there and just take a 2-1 win. But no, Union Berlin came back up them. Butler, who's been one of their best, like recently, he's been on top form.
8 goals this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been really good this season for Union Berlin, and he got played through. He chops his defender. I think it's Bender. Rhyme. He chops inside, takes a touch, and curls into the far corner. Really good finish. Both the Union Berlin goals were great, and that was in the 87th minute. And then you're thinking it's going to be a 2-2 draw. No.
Wrong.
Super sub Karim Bellarabi in the 94th minute got the ball, and somehow, I don't know how this went in, awful keeping, but from a really tight angle squeezed the ball in. I don't understand. The goalkeeper should have saved it. Someone should have blocked it. It shouldn't have gone in.
Well, the keeper dives anticipating a cross and then sort of flings out his left hand as the ball is, and if anything, helps it more to go in.
Exactly. It's poor keeping.
It was, and defending as it goes.
And the funny thing is, you're thinking then it's going to be 3-2. But in the 97th minute, Union Berlin had a chance to equalise, and you're thinking, has it fell to Butler? Has it fallen to Gentner? The two players have scored in form. No, it's fallen to goalkeeper Gitquait, who...
sorry, what's his name? Gitquait. And let's have a read that. What is that?
Gitquait. Do you want to have a go at it?
Gikivish? Gikivish.
It's not Gikiewicz.
I reckon
it sounds like Gitquait, who last season actually scored in the second division. So he's got a goal-scoring prowess. But no, he came up for a corner, and he had a free header, and he kind of fluffed it, but then it fell to him on the volley, or on the half volley, and he got it on target, but the goalkeeper saved it. It was the 97th minute. It was the moment. If he'd equalised then, the limbs would have been unbelievable.
Top tier limbs. Especially
at the Union Berlin Stadium, who pack out and sell out every game. And it was so unlucky, but he didn't deserve it after his goalkeeping.
That's true.
Disaster
he could have redeemed his lack of goalkeeping ability with turning it to a striker, but maybe not after the 2 shots that he did have, because they were both pretty poor. Yeah. Even the volley itself had like 0 power in it.
Yeah, no, it was weak, but yeah, Leverkusen came away with the win, and deserved it overall. Union Berlin showed a good fight, but Leverkusen deserved to win.
That was my prediction last week.
Yeah,
Union Berlin to take the win.
That was your controversial one.
They were close. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't too far away. The final game I'm going to talk about is the league leaders. Bayern Munich, who played away to Cologne, mainly because of in the last game I was talking about a late showing. This was quite the opposite. This was an early showing from Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich won this game 4-1 away. All the away teams seem to do well this week, which is quite weird. All the ones I'm highlighting anyway. They started off well. Robert Lewandowski, man of the moment, been phenomenal this year. Robbed of a Ballon d'Or top 3, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. He's incredible.
Very good player. Smashed the ball to the roof of the net. 1-on-1 with the keeper in the 3rd minute to get Bayern Munich started, and it was relentless. 2 minutes later, the 5th minute, Kingsley Coman got the ball and slid the ball through the keeper's legs. So it's 2-0 after 5 minutes. Then after just 12 minutes, it's 3-0. Serge Gnabry firing into the bottom corner following a corner. Really good goal, actually. Took it around a few defenders and then just powerfully put it into the bottom corner. Really good goal. Then that was the rest of the half. No, apart from a Cordoba VAR disallowed goal.
Weirdest spelt first name on the planet, John Cordoba.
Yeah.
It's Jhon. It's like how I used to spell John when I didn't know where to put
No,
the H.
genuinely, that's
Honestly.
exactly how I used to spell John when I didn't know how to spell John.
John. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. I'm not going to roast him for his name.
Yeah. It took until the second half for another goal. Serge Gnabry scored again. You love him, and after he curled the ball to the far corner after dribbling past a few players, really good goal actually. Like the dribbling was brilliant to take around the players, and then the curled finish into the far corner, which was actually scoring against Cologne, and he's got the most goals against a single club with 6. So he scored 6 goals against Cologne, which is more than any other club he's played
this season
against.
or in his career?
Or in his career. He hasn't scored 6 against Cologne this season.
I was going to say, that'd be
quite
quite
impressive.
impressive.
But yeah, in his career, he scored most goals against Cologne. He scored 6. Cologne got a consolation goal. Newly signed Ut, who's on loan.
Sorry, carry on.
Who's I think he's on loan from Hoffenheim. I know he's from Hoffenheim. I'm not sure if it's on loan or a transfer. A guy local to the area, brought up in Cologne. And he's actually definitely a great signing, and it will probably give them the goals to secure. I think they'll stay up anyway, but to definitely secure them staying up. But yeah, he had a open goal following a low cross, and definitely, Bayern Munich were rampant. The win was never in doubt really, and they stay top of the league. And it's going to take one hell of an effort from either Gladbach, Leipzig, or Dortmund, or even Leverkusen to dethrone them.
Yeah, Bayern extending their lead at the top of the table then. So how should we do this? Do you want to go quickly wrap through the rest of the results from the weekend, go through the table, then I'll go through Serie A results and table? Should we do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, sure.
So the weekend started with Dortmund Frankfurt. I know I didn't talk about it in my 3 of the best for the first time ever. But yeah, Dortmund won that 4-0. Piszczek got his first home goal since the 18th of February 2017.
Remember it well.
Quite a long time ago. But yeah, Piszczek scored a really good goal. Sancho, Haaland and Aguero were the other scorers in a match where Dortmund
Aguero?
Where Dortmund looked very comfortable against a team who are in form, definitely. Frankfurt looking really good recently, but they were terrible against Dortmund. Augsburg drew 1-1 to Freiburg in a very tight game, in which defender Max put Augsburg in the lead with his 7th goal in 11 games, which it took him 125 games previously to those 11 to score that many goals.
That's unbelievable.
Which is so funny.
Does he have a surname, Max?
No, that is his surname.
Oh, right, okay, cool. I thought you just knew him on a first name basis.
Yeah, no, I'm really good mates with Max.
Max, one of the greats.
No, Max. Sounds weird now. Yeah, Max put them in the league before Haberer
his first name.
got the equaliser for Freiburg. Leipzig had a home game to Werder Bremen, which was just really easy for them. Werder Bremen looked awful. Klostermann put them in the lead before Patrick Schick scored for Leipzig. You really like him, don't you, Archie?
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, Will and E look alike.
Brilliant. Love Will and E. Get on the podcast. Before Mukelele got the fastest goal for Leipzig that they've ever scored after the break, scoring 34 seconds after half-time. And yeah, convincingly 3-0 win. Leipzig, after a really poor rate of form, it's a lovely game to come up at home against Werder Bremen, who are in a rut and they relegation bound. Nice game to play, and yeah, they look good. And going into their game against Tottenham, yeah, they look like they're semi-back. They didn't play Werner. Of course, they're resting some of their big players for the Tottenham game, but yeah, they look good. The next game is Paderborn lost 2-1 at home to Hertha Berlin. It's a shame. I predicted.
No, we've got a bit of Paderborn love on this pod.
Yeah, we quite like Paderborn, but unfortunately they look like they're going to get relegated, even though I said they stay up.
Definitely stay up. You said last time you put not money on it.
But yeah, Hertha Berlin won this game. Assistant manager and former Werder Bremen coach Alexander Nuri took charge following the departure of Jurgen Klinsmann, which we talked about on the podcast last week. They looked a lot better, admittedly against bottom of the league, but yeah, they did look better. Boyata put Hertha Berlin in front before Dennis Sabeni off the bench, former Norwich player, scores from an impossible angle. I'm still not sure how it's gone in.
It's not impossible if it's gone in.
Okay,
tricky,
a very tight
near
angle.
Yeah, near impossible.
I'm still trying to work out how it went in. Terrible keeping. The keeper had no idea what he was going to do, and yeah, I'm still working out that goal. I'm miffed by it, but yeah.
Miffed?
Yeah, but Sabedi equalised Paderborn and made them. They needed something, and he supplied that, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. A Collins only goal in the Hertha for Hertha Berlin. Secured the 3 points for Hertha Berlin. It was a shame. Kuna thought he had a debut goal, but unfortunately the defender touched it in the bottom corner. Fortuna Düsseldorf and Gladbach played out a 4-1, where Hoffmann put Gladbach in front. Tommy, I love this. Tommy equalised for Fortuna. So basically slide tackled the ball into the top corner. It was incredible. But then, Gladbach took control. Stindl got 2, and Neuhaus got the one to grab all 3 points. Gladbach winning every game that Thuram has contributed at least 1 goal, which is pretty crazy. In the final game, Mainz and Schalke contributed to the only 0-0 draw of the weekend. Really boring game. Nothing really happened apart from Schalke keeper Nubel with a contender for save of the season tonight. Quaison. Schalke are bowing out of the Champions League races. The third draw in a row, and yeah, that's the rest of the results. That leaves the table. Bayern at top of the league, 46 points, followed by Red Bull 45. Dortmund in third on 42, level with Gladbach in fourth. But Gladbach have a game in hand where they could go up to 45. Fifth, Leverkusen on 40 points, and sixth are Schalke on 36, who are slowly dropping down the table. Now to the bottom of the league, bottom of Paderborn on 16 points. Second bottom Werder Bremen on 17. Fortuna Düsseldorf in the relegation playoffs also on 17 points, and they've got a big climb as the team above them 15th are Mainz on 22. Now, Archie, summarise the Serie A.
Well, I'd love to, Sam, but I want to take it back to something. So the Augsburg game that you talked about, right? While you've been doing that, I've been looking at some Max facts. All right, so we had this Max guy, we didn't know what his first name was. His first name's Philip. Okay, it's Philip Max, so he's the kind of guy with 2 first names. He should have been capped for Germany, apparently. Very good player. His dad, Martin Max, one of the best names ever. He's one of Germany's oldest winners of the Bundesliga top scorer crown at ages 32 and 34. So there you go. If you wanted some Max facts, this is where you come. Anyway, back to the task.
Here's another Max fact to end on. He's completed 630 passes this year.
Oh, brilliant. All the listeners wanted to know that. Brilliant.
I thought that was a key fact that everyone would be fascinated by. Anyway, go on to your Serie A results.
Move on from the Max-based antics. So basically there was games this weekend. I know, unbelievably. Match day 24. So the Saturday, the early game was a big tussle at the bottom of the table. It was Lecce, Spal, and Samuel Spal condemned to further misery.
Stop mentioning this, honestly.
Lecce took an early lead through Marco Manconzu. Petagna equalised, even though he's off to Napoli next year. Then Zan Meyer got the second goal for Lecce, and they saw out the game in that one. That moves Lecce further and further out the relegation places, condemning Spal to the inevitability of Serie B.
Preferred it anyway.
The second game that took place on this lovely Saturday, 15th of February, was Bologna.
Did you get that from Adrian's lecture?
Did he say that?
Oh no!
What?
I'm sorry. Ignore me.
Shut up. If Adrian, you're listening, we loved your lecture earlier.
It was from something Kate just said to me.
Oh right, okay, brilliant. He called Harry Kane Harry Cole.
What a classic!
I love him. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Love
anyway,
Harry Cole.
Shout out Adrian. You probably won't be listening, but if you are, you're great.
And Kate.
Yeah.
And Mark.
Can I get on with this?
And
please?
Nathan.
Please, can I get on with this?
And Robin.
Can I please?
Yeah, move on.
Disgraceful. But the second game on this lovely Saturday was Bologna-Genoa. Bologna, despite their good run of form, lost 3-0 to Genoa at home. Really helping my bet at Archie Tips. I haven't won a single bet aside from this one, so probably don't follow it. Follow it. First popping up was centre-half Sumairo, off an assist from his fellow centre-half Andrea Masiello, the ex-Atalanta centre-half. Then a red card for Jordi Schouten for the 34th minute for Bologna. And then a really well-worked goal and a great run from Antonio Sanabria of Genoa. Saw them go 2-0 up, and then a Stefano Denzwil second yellow card set up Domenico Crescito for the third goal, which was a penalty. Genoa really climbing out the relegation spots, because I really like Genoa and I do hope they stay up. And yeah, they did very well. Bologna being dragged right back down to earth. They were like, we might get European spots, and they just got absolutely battered at home by a relegation side. They've dropped back down to 10th. Sure, they're still only 2 points away from that Europa League spot, but if they get it, I'll eat my hat. I don't have a hat, but I'll eat it.
Bit of a weird expression.
Everyone uses it. Do you not know the expression, I'll eat my hat? Oh, it's actually a really well-known... I'll show it to you later, but it's a well-known expression. Look it up now. Look up, I'll eat my hat.
Put in the comments.
Yeah, tell you what, right? If we get to 40 subscribers, I'll eat my hat. No, I won't.
Though, can we actually get to 40 subscribers?
Yeah, please subscribe. On YouTube and listen on Spotify. Anyway, back to the games.
Plug.
This has been so disjointed. Can I just rattle them through them? Because we haven't even got past Saturday. There's a whole set of fixtures on Sunday. I've just hit the mic. Atalanta Roma, been through that. Atalanta 2-1 win. Sunday, the 16th of February. An absolute game for the ages. Udinese Hellas Verona. It was 0-0. It was a bloody cracker.
Whoa.
Absolute barnstormer of a game, honestly. One of the greats.
Excitement personified.
Barini, the little dancer, should have scored. I'm sorry. He didn't do very well.
He scores when he wants.
He didn't want to score this game because he missed an absolute abundance of chances, as did Hellas all game. Udinese missed a couple of chances as well. I believe Kevin Lasagna hit the post. DePaul had one ruled out for offside. I saw a Udinese... apologies. I saw a Udinese win in this one, but they didn't. So there we go. Don't listen to me again. Juventus only beating Brescia 2-0 despite Brescia going down to 10 men before they got their first goal. Florian Aye with his second yellow card. His first yellow card came just 4 minutes before this. It was just a classic reckless strikers challenge on, I believe it was Aaron Ramsey just outside the box. And from the resulting free kick, Paulo Dybala slotted it past the third choice keeper who got bought on because they were starting their second choice. And their third choice keeper came on and he had to go up against a Dybala free kick from 20 yards and he scored, inevitably.
Is Aaron alright?
Aaron's alright, I think. I'll have to ask him later, but I think he's okay.
Oh, yeah, cool. Just drop him a little text.
Yeah, he stayed on the pitch. He came off at the 60th minute, but he stayed on the pitch.
When you said that, I just had flashbacks to that short
No, don't do that. No, don't. Why would you need to do that? That's so sad. When he got tackled, there were Stoke fans and with the Brescia fans just booing him.
Yeah, no,
there weren't, but that'd be quite cool if there were. Then Quadrado, go on, what are you gonna say?
I was just to say, you're a liar.
Why am I a liar?
You said there were Stoke fans there.
Well, obviously,
got all excited.
Obviously, there weren't Stoke fans in
Move
there. Obviously,
on.
I was joking. Christ, this is taking painfully long. I'm really sorry. Yep, at the 75th minute, Juan Quadrado popped up with a lovely little goal. Dinked it past the keeper, and that's 2-0 Juventus. They really should have scored a few more goals in this game. But without Ronaldo, I guess they weren't having that pinpoint striker up top who can score all the goals. Then Sampdoria, as I've been through, lost 5-1 at home to Fiorentina. They are shocking. Sassuolo lost 1-0 at home to Parma, despite Sassuolo having some 70% possession. This is just typical Sassuolo. They have so much possession all game and they just cannot convert chances, despite Caputo actually being quite a good striker. But evidently not good enough. Parma's goal came from the one and only Gervinho. He was playing out left this game instead of up top because they had the great Andreas Cornelius up top. A couple of Premier League legends playing for Parma. But yeah, they took home a 1-0 win away at Sassuolo. Another 1-0 away win saw Napoli beat Cagliari away in Sardinia. Yeah, Dries Mertens, an absolute beauty. Cut in on his right foot, curled it past the keeper. Beauty. Yeah, no, he did very well. Yeah, that's pretty much just a 1-0 win to Napoli. Not an awful lot more to say on that game. Deserved win. Cagliari had a couple of chances, but nothing brilliant. Then obviously Lazio beat Inter 2-1, which I've been through. And then the Monday game, which we haven't mentioned yet, was your prediction for Torino to beat Milan? They didn't. They didn't even look close.
I mean, let's be real though. It's 1-0. Like
it was. It would
have been more embarrassing if it had been like 4-0.
True, naturally, as most games do look more embarrassing when they're 4-0. But no, Torino didn't really look like scoring in this game. Milan's goal came through Ante Rebic, who seems to be their saviour at the minute, along with a couple of others. But yeah, no, it was a deserved win at the Giuseppe Meazza, or the San Siro as everyone knows it. Yep, no, good win for Milan. They climb further up the table. So how does that leave the table? Well, Juventus now climb back up to the top spot. Didn't take them long to get back there, but they're there. They sit on 57 points. Lazio just 1 point behind them on 56. Same amount of games now, so that game in hand's gone. Just a straight heat, I guess, now until the final game. Inter now dropping points, 2 points behind Lazio. Atalanta some 9 points behind Inter, but they build up a healthy 6-point advantage on their closest Champions League rivals, Roma, who only sit 4 points actually ahead of Hellas Verona. And the way that Hellas Verona, Milan are all going at the minute, there's a part of me that thinks that Roma could dip out those spaces. Moving down to the relegation spots at the minute. Spal sit rock bottom where they belong on 15 points.
Why would you add that? Spal sit rock bottom. Move on.
They are 8 points away from safety. They are getting relegated. Brescia sit only 1 point behind them. They're also getting relegated. Genoa, however, this is where it gets tasty. They're on 22 points. They sit some 6 points ahead of Brescia. Both them and Spal condemned. Yep, Genoa 22, Sampdoria 23. Lecce climbing up the table 25, and I tell you what, right, the form that Torino are in, it's not too outlandish to say they could be dragged into this. They are only 5 points off the relegation spots, and so are Udinese, who are only 4 points away. If Torino get dragged into a relegation battle, that'd be pretty funny, because they're terrible. That's pretty much all there is to say. I'm going to crack on my player of the week, if that's all right, Sam. I'm just going to go straight ahead on it.
Oh yeah, do it.
My player of the week, not someone that scored loads of goals, but he just played really well. He got 1 goal in a huge match for Lazio. It is Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, as I alluded to earlier. As I say, ran rings around the Inter midfield, looked brilliant all game, scored a really good goal, had one that hit the bar, ran the game. Who's your player of the week?
That really was wrestling through.
Really was.
My player of the week is Marcus Thuram, the Mönchengladbach forward. He for his performance against in Fortuna Düsseldorf in the Rhineland derby, he was fantastic. He actually, as the expression used about 100 times earlier, he really did run the game. He was at the centre of everything. Everything went through him. He dropped deep, despite playing up front. He dropped deep a lot. He got 2 assists, which was and played a key role in the 3rd goal. But yeah, he got the ball. He linked play really well. Was fantastic. And then at the end of the game, he did what Romelu Lukaku did in the Milan derby, where he put his shirt on the corner flag and waved it in the air he was terrific. Obviously not as big a derby as the Milan derby, but I say Fortuna the Fortuna Mönchengladbach rivalry is second to none.
Second to none, there we go. So Marcus Thuram is your player of the week. Shall we get on to some predictions,
Let's
Sam
do
Cole?
some predictions.
So, shall we kick things off with the Serie A? Oh, would you like me to start? Actually, we don't do it in this order, do we? Just as a quick recap, in case you forgot, 1 point for correct result, 3 points for getting the exact scoreline. We split it up into 3 categories for each league that we pick. Big team game, tricky to predict, a controversial pick. The controversial pick gets you a whole treble points. You could get a whole 9 points if you predict that result correctly. Tricky to predict gets you double points, and big team game is just your base amount of points. I'm going to kick things off if that's all right.
Sure, let's go.
So, in the Serie A, my big team game is Atalanta Sassuolo. And I'm going to go with a 4-2 in this game because I could see this being a bit of an end-to-end game. Both teams aren't defensively the most capable. While Atalanta this season have been fairly decent defensively, most recently, mainly they've been doing well defensively. I can see Sassuolo nicking a couple just because of how often they dominate possession. I can see it being an end-to-end affair. But I do see Atalanta pipping them in the classic 4-2 scoreline that we like to predict on this segment of the podcast. Who's your big game prediction in the Serie A?
I've gone for Spal Juventus. Unfortunately, I'm not backing my team, and I think that Juventus are going to win 3-0 away from home.
It's generous.
Is it?
Yeah, I think Spal defensively are so good.
Oh, okay, sarcasm. Fair enough. Right, yeah, Juventus are going to absolutely demolish Spal, and if they don't, I'll be delighted, but we get relegated, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, 3-0 Juventus.
Fair enough. My tricky to predict game. There's a pretty interesting game coming up, and I'm just looking at our two screens, and I think we've predicted the exact same thing.
We've predicted the exact same game, the exact same scoreline.
Nice bit of variety. I do promise we do not talk about this before. I've literally just seen the screen. I've gone as a Sam, so I'll cover it for you as well. You can give your justification if you want. You're more than welcome. It's Fiorentina. They host Milan in Florence. I'm going with a 2-2 draw. Again, another game which I could see being very end-to-end, especially Milan at home defensively are decent, other than conceding. Well, technically they weren't at home against Inter, but they were still at the San Siro. But they do well defensively at home. Away, I can see them being a little bit more leaky to a Fiorentina team who is scoring for fun at the minute under Iachini, and I can see us being a bit of a ding-dong 2-2, Sam. Sam, what are you going with? Let's see your different prediction.
Yeah, 2-2.
Brilliant.
Fiorentina and Milan, both teams that have a lot of potential for goals, but then defensively aren't that strong. And basically, what you said, I could see it being very high scoring and a good one for the neutrals, but the managers won't be impressed by their defensive showing.
Oh, wow, I like that.
That's a Football Manager reference.
Is it? is that something you said at a press conference?
Yeah,
Football Manager?
it really is.
Wow, we bring the variety to this show. My controversial pick, I'm backing Lecce. Let's go.
You didn't need to clap your hands.
No, I won't. They go to Rome and they play a very out of form Roma team, and I see them winning 2-1. I see Lecce taking the game to Roma. I'm still clapping.
Archie's getting so excited.
I love Lecce. I think they're amazing.
Calm.
I've done one Football Manager save with them and got them relegated, and I think they're brilliant. If I can't keep them up, who can? Well, evidently, who's his name? Liverani, their manager. Evidently, he can. Cool. So, I reckon they'll beat Roma 2-1. I can see their 2 new signings, as I wrote about for World Football Index. Ricardo Saponara and Antoine Barak scoring. And for Roma, I see Dzeko popping up with 1. What's your controversial pick, Sam? Because it's very controversial.
my controversial pick's even more controversial than that. Genoa. Yeah, Genoa are going to dethrone the... they're not top of the league, but...
tricky to dethrone them.
They're going to dethrone the best team in Rome. That's fair. That kind of makes sense. I think that Genoa are going to beat Lazio 2-1 at home. I know Lazio have been on their huge unbeaten run and look unstoppable, But
So you think Genoa will stop? They look unstoppable, so they're going to Genoa.
yeah, they look unstoppable, but they haven't played Genoa in a long time.
One of the worst defensive teams in the league. Yeah, I don't see Immobile scoring. He's only got 26 goals this season.
Not many, really. But
Not many,
no, Genoa have Pandev, though, so that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, that seems fair. Shall we go on to our Bundesliga picks?
Let's do it. I'll kick it off. I've gone big team. Bayern Munich are home to Paderborn. Should be fairly comfortable for Bayern Munich as they try and push away from the chasing pack. I could see them winning 4-1. I think Paderborn will score, but I think Bayern Munich's firepower will be too much for Paderborn. Who have you put?
That seems fair. I'm going with your Dortmund. They're away to very out of form Werder Bremen. I can see a Haaland hat-trick. He looks so good against PSG last night. I can see just him dominating. Bremen defensively aren't very good on a woeful run of form. 3-1 Dortmund.
I would argue that, just quickly, I would argue that Haaland, despite scoring a lot of goals, hasn't necessarily been the finished article performances-wise. For example, in Frankfurt, you got a goal played.
Did you see him last night?
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he played very well, but he was still very raw. His touch isn't where it could be. He's don't get me wrong, he's brilliant, but then he's got a lot of potential, and there's things he could definitely improve on.
Sure. That's fair enough. I just think, in the goal scoring form that he's in, he's probably the best striker. He's probably the best striker in Europe at the minute. Let's be real. On his most recent form, the amount of goals he's got, he's the most informed striker at the minute in Europe. Who else?
Lewandowski, Danny Ings. You're laughing, but Danny Ings.
What recent goals in the games that since Haaland's been at Dortmund, he's been the most informed striker in Europe.
Okay, so his goals per game ratio at Dortmund's
which is what you need.
Okay. Recently, he's been probably the best striker in Europe, goal scoring wise. I wouldn't say performances wise. I'd say goal scoring.
But you only really need goals from your striker, don't you?
No.
I mean, okay, but in the amount of goals that he's scoring, that's all you really need. Like, you can. I remember Ian Wright always used to do it. He'd have a terrible game, but he'd pop up with a goal, so you'd still be raving about Ian Wright. Like, if he's just scoring goals, that's fine. He doesn't need to do anything else. He can just be a pure goal scorer.
He's doing his job, but then Dortmund are trying to make him into more of a complete player, and that's why he's. Maybe he's making more mistakes because previously at his old club he's just been the goal scorer. Well, at Dortmund they're trying to get him to link up play because Dortmund have a lot of other attacking players who are really good, and they want them to score as well. He has been good, but I'd say he could have been better. But his goal scoring ability has been brilliant. Yeah. Moving on to
only 11 goals in 7 games.
Exactly, not many. We're moving on to the other
controversial pick. Tricky to predict. Apologies.
I forgot what it was called. I've gone for Schalke against Leipzig. It's a big game. Schalke are dropping away, and at Leipzig have been poor, but then we've got a recent win over Werder Bremen, of course. So it's a big game for both sides. They try to push on and push for Leipzig the title and Schalke Champions League football. But I could see the draw merchants Schalke getting another draw in this game. I think Leipzig need a win, but I don't think they'll get it. Schalke look not great going forward, but defensively they're fine. They're all right. And I just don't see much to separate these two sides. What about you?
Yeah, I've gone with the same game, but I've gone with a different outcome. I've gone both teams to score, but I've gone Leipzig to take it 2-1. Schalke seem to be dipping a little bit. They seem to be bottling their chance of potentially getting any Champions League football. They're not doing brilliantly recently. I can see Leipzig capitalising on that with their quick attacking play. I see a 2-1 Leipzig win.
Ooh. Yeah, no, I can definitely see that happening. Yeah. Finally, the controversial pick. I've gone for Freiburg against Fortuna Düsseldorf. With Düsseldorf really in trouble in the relegation playoffs, and Freiburg pushing for Europa League, they're really in different places of the table. But I could Fortuna Düsseldorf are desperate for a result, and despite losing 4-1, they showed some promising things against Gladbach, and I think that Fortuna could steal a draw here. What's your controversial pick? It's a lot more controversial than mine.
It's slightly more controversial. I figured, go hard or go home. I've gone Bayern. They host Paderborn. Now, don't worry. Don't leave the podcast just yet because I'm going with a draw, not a Paderborn win. I'm not mental. I reckon Paderborn are going to get a point here.
We like Paderborn.
Love them. Honestly, never seen them play. But you know what? If they do the business in this game, I might just have to tune in. I see a 2-2 draw. Genuinely, Paderborn are just going to do the business. I have zero logic behind it. I just see Bayern Munich. They've got to slip up at some point, haven't they?
I think your logic behind it is probably the fact that I've been backing him the last 2 weeks, and you've said this, and you thought there must be something about them.
And they've not proven it since. But I'm thinking this will be the game. I've
put them in my controversial pick every time apart from this week, and they've lost every time.
I figured we'd keep that up. Oh
no, they against Schalke they drew. Too fair, and I said that they would lose. So
that's true.
No, I said they'd win, and they drew against Schalke, and you said that Schalke were nailed on to win that game. So I was quite happy with that. But yeah,
is that it?
Yeah.
Is that all we got?
That's all we got. Time to move on to.
Sorry for the clicking in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's move on to just reading out the fixtures for the next week. If you would like to start, Archie.
Yep, I'd absolutely love to start this. There's nothing I'd like more. We got a pretty busy round of fixtures coming up in the Serie A. We have a first game comes in on Friday. Brescia hosts Napoli. Very bang out of form Brescia, and I can see Napoli winning this one, but it's not predictions, so I'll stop. Saturday we have Bologna hosting Udinese and both Bologna are looking to bounce back. Spal hosts Juventus in what will probably be a mauling. Fiorentina host Milan in the later Saturday game. On the Sunday we have Genoa hosting Lazio. You'll be watching that with a keen eye. Atalanta take on Sassuolo. Torino will get battered. Host Parma. Hellas Verona play Cagliari. Roma host Lecce, and Inter host Sampdoria. Looking to bounce back and get in that title race. Sam, who we got?
Weekend starts on Friday with Bayern Munich against Paderborn, who will apparently draw, according to Archie. Moving on to Saturday, Gladbach host Hoffenheim. Freiburg have Fortuna Düsseldorf. Hertha Berlin have Cologne. Werder Bremen have Dortmund, and Schalke are playing Leipzig in the late game. Sunday, Leverkusen have Augsburg at home. Wolfsburg are home to Mainz, and then on the Monday, to finish the weekend, Frankfurt are playing Union Berlin.
Brilliant. And is that it for this edition of... So you heard the clicking in the background. I just flicked up a Clear and Obvious podcast, our YouTube, which you can always go and follow and subscribe to and watch everything on, because there'll be content coming up on there soon, which won't be the norm. We might even get a camera in soon, but it's all on the down low. But it's not because it's on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for revealing the secret.
Yeah, it's not a secret until people see us. You'll be able to see our beautiful studio and our beautiful faces, not just on dodgy thumbnails. We hit 30 subscribers. Woohoo! I was going to put in little burst anyway. Hit 30 subscribers. No, I won't. 30 subscribers. Can we hit 40 by this time next week?
Ooh, that's big.
That is huge. That would be bloody massive, right? That would be huge stuff. If so, I'll book us the flights out to Spal, Inter. If we hit 40 subscribers, I'll book them now. Well, when it comes around.
Oh yeah, that guys, please hit 40 subscribers. That would be absolutely massive for us.
So we're going to Spal Inter. If you haven't realised, you'll get more on that.
And we're gonna get some. We'll try to get some content for you.
Yeah.
This week's also a big week, as tomorrow we're gonna have the full English, but Friday we're doing a Champions League, Europa League special, which you have to look forward to.
Yeah. Some more European football, and thankfully we're getting the Europa League in, so you can listen to all the best teams. Is that it? Is that all we got?
Yeah, that's all we've got. Let's do some plugging.
My personal Twitter is @ArchCorbett.
Mine is at SamCole2468.
The Twitter account for A Clear and Obvious Podcast is at A Clear and Obv Pod.
And we now have Instagram, A Clear and Obvious Podcast.
There we are. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Sweet.
Check us out on Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah, do like. We like likes. Likes are good.
Like and subscribe.
How many likes did the most recent one get? It's not going to stop playing, is it?
5.
5 likes. There we go.
That's
30 subscribers. That's such a good... incredible. That's because we've got Robbie on. Any comments? No abuse this week. Well, there we go. That's it for now.
Stop looking at our YouTube.
Sorry.
Right, thank you for listening, guys. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your grandparents, tell your aunts, and we will see you next week.
Bye.